Hello and welcome to today's workshop, Global Networking with GEO. This workshop is brought to you by Pathfinder. Pathfinder is an extracurricular program for incoming first and second year Northeastern students, and we provide a safe and inclusive space for students to discuss and pursue their passions. If you haven't already joined Pathfinder, you can sign up on our website. Our applications are rolling and open to all Northeastern first and second year students. Also on our website, you can find applications for our moderators, which are open to third, fourth, and fifth year Northeastern students, as well as recent graduates. And for more information about the program and additional resources, that can also be found on our website. If you want to see more of our workshops from earlier this semester, you can check out our YouTube channel or our podcast. And now I will pass it over to GEO.
Hello, everyone. So thank you so much for having us on Pathfinder. My name is Nora Salmon. I'm the Associate Director of Global Experience Advising in the GEO office. And with me today, I have Catalina Cardelle and Jeremiah Chandler, two Northeastern students and two students that have been on global programs and also that work at GEO. So to give you a brief agenda for what we're going to talk about is I'll start and provide an overview, a very high-level overview of what is GEO and what are GEO programs. And then we'll do a Q&A between the three of us so that you can really hear the student experience and get a more personal sense of like what a student's time is like on a particular program, and then when they return from a program to Northeastern. So here are our names, and I'll dive right in. So the Global Experience Office, or GEO as we refer to it, I wanted to kind of give insight from like our office perspective and then how we talk to students. So in the office, beyond what you might think of like study abroad exists, a big piece is that kind of the theme that we heard at the beginning about networking. So a big piece of GEO is developing partnerships with our global network, so international universities abroad, international organizations, anywhere all over the globe. And Northeastern as a campus is expanding its global network so that there's campuses both international and domestic. So we have campuses in San Francisco being developed. There's one opening up in Maine as well. So I'll touch on that as we go further along. But really, GEO's goal is to create inclusive learning communities in pockets of the globe and really foster global learning, global competence, and help students through their journey here at Northeastern, both in Boston and abroad. So when we're talking to students, though, it's why do you want to do this? Why participate in a global experience? I think everybody has a unique personal reason, and you'll hear Jeremiah and Kati's personal experience. But in terms of what makes it unique to Northeastern, there's many reasons, and we'll share a lot more later. But Northeastern is unique in that when you go abroad, you do earn Northeastern credit. So it really is taking your time at Northeastern and expanding it wherever you are around the globe, continuing and advancing your degree. There's a plethora of international networking opportunities while you're abroad. You meet people from all over the world, both Northeastern students, international faculty. And it truly is a way to really like gain a different form of cultural understanding and competencies. In some cases, you learn and practice new languages. So there's just like a lot of elements that we truly believe that an experience abroad, in addition to your experience here in Boston, is a way to just make a full comprehensive degree. So a quick kind of overview. This is a snapshot of the variety of programs that we have to offer. So Northeastern is really interested in designing programs that can fit anyone's personal, professional, and academic background. So we have programs that vary in length anywhere from 1 week to an entire year. And then we have global degree programs, which would be all 4 years. There's programs suited to pretty much any major. So I think, there's definitely a misconception that like, depending on your major, if you have a pretty unique like STEM major, let's say, or computer science, that you can't go abroad, but there truly is a program for every major. And in terms of study abroad, what's nice about Northeastern is it's not just going and studying in another classroom. There's all different forms. So whether that be like a full experience where you are never physically in a classroom, maybe you're doing an international internship, you're on a dialogue, which I'll talk about. And it could be with our faculty or with international faculty. So this is a list of our programs, a quick snapshot, and I'll break them down in the following slides. So Dialogue of Civilizations, most commonly referred to as DOCs, and that's what we refer to it, as well as our students. They're faculty-led programs. So it's Northeastern faculty leading students. They're only offered during summer 1 and summer 2. Outside of the current year, we offer about 70 programs that go to 136 or so countries, and we typically send about 1,400 students abroad every summer. On a program, there's about 15 to 30 students. Students take 2 courses, earning 8 Northeastern credits. And a goal of it too is you fulfill your new path. Both Kati and Jeremiah have been on a dialogue, and I think hearing kind of their experience will be key. In terms of study abroad, the difference between study abroad and a dialogue for us, which both are forms of study abroad, is that on a study abroad program, you take classes with international faculty at a foreign institution or a Northeastern network campus abroad. These are offered during fall, spring, summer 1 and summer 2, or there's an academic year option. So it's really kind of figuring out what do you want to study that enhances what you're studying here on campus. You learn from international faculty, like I said, so it could be a totally different perspective than what you're learning in Boston. And it really is a unique way to connect with different peers too, because you're learning alongside peers that you wouldn't necessarily go to school with here at Northeastern. So semester in is a form of taking courses in one of our network campuses. So this is a growing piece of GEO, and it's an exciting piece as we move into 2022, more to come. But it's kind of a unique way to take what you're learning in Boston and put it in a totally different context. You would learn from a combination of Northeastern faculty and then faculty based in that region. So 2 examples are the New College of Humanities in London. We have a semester in program, and then we have one in San Francisco. So we have Jeremiah with us, and he has been on NCH, the Data Ethics and Culture program, so he'll speak to that as well. Global Quest, for any student that's a first-year student, this is a unique first-year program. So it's a year-long program in a sense that you enter Northeastern and live in a living learning community. So you live as a cohort. You would involve yourself in activities, extracurricular and curricular. And then in the spring semester of your first year, you go abroad to 2 select locations based on your major. The 2 locations for spring 2022 are the New College of Humanities in London, and that's for CSSH and DMSB students, and then American College of Thessaloniki in Greece, which is for our CAMD, COS, COE, and Bouvet students. Global Co-op, and Kati will be speaking about her experience. So Global Co-op, I know anyone at Northeastern knows the term co-op as your internship experience while you're here conducting your degree, but it's taking that into a global context, so working internationally. There's teams within each college, and GEO supports the colleges with Global Co-op in terms of visa resources and orientations. So Global Co-op can be a paid experience or unpaid. There's the Presidential Global Scholarship that really helps make that accessible. So it's a $6,000 scholarship. And in terms of how to get this started, it's really speaking to a Global Co-op coordinator in your college. And I will turn to Kati in a bit to explain how she got started on her co-op. Okay, so how does this work financially, if that's crossing anyone's minds? Like, I want to go abroad, but how does it even work in terms of the cost? So when you study abroad, whether it be a dialogue, semester in, or a semester abroad at one of our partner universities, you are paying Northeastern tuition the same way as if you were here taking classes on campus. A benefit of this is that if you use financial aid, if you're accessing scholarships, or however you fund your time to pay for your academics, that funding is the same way you can utilize that abroad. So it's accessing your financial aid can be used while you're on a study abroad program. We always talk to students about the cost of living of the location. Is it an expensive destination? Is it a more affordable destination? And how does that work with budgeting? And with that comes scholarships. So GEO is really dedicated to continuing each semester. We'll have new scholarships, new grants. Our funding opportunities could be merit-based. Some of them are need-based, and then some are based on an application that you might do, like student blogging, videography, and photography for us, which is really great. So it's kind of a different way to kind of access funding and see which ones you'd be eligible for. Some programs have their own funding. So if you pick a destination and you're not sure, for example, I advise for New Zealand, and when it does open back up, one of our partners, just by going to New Zealand, there is access to education scholarships through the Ministry of Education in New Zealand. So it's kind of understanding who to talk to. And myself as a GEO advisor, where I'm on a team of 6, we advise by regions of the world. And we want you to ask, like, I want to go to Italy, let's say, like, what is the scholarship for this program in Italy? I'm this major, maybe there's a scholarship based on your major. So part of what we do in our advising is really figure out the niche ways for you to access funding for that program. In addition, we have a first-time travelers grant. If you've never been abroad, there is additional funding to help you take that big leap. And we work with the President Ayoun Scholarship, which connects with our cultural centers, and students are nominated through their access to student orgs. This is a link here. So, but if you put Northeastern GEO, you'll find it on our finance tab. So in terms of who supports you, the pictures on this slide are actually real GEO advisors. So that's kind of fun. So there are people that work in the office, but we help you with your application support, figuring out which classes to take. We do orientations with students so that they feel ready to go abroad. And then we have a whole international safety network that supports students with any concerns based on their specific destination or anything going on in the world, such as the global pandemic. Find at Northeastern is a 24-hour, anywhere in the world mental health support. So we connect students with that. And it's really figuring out what resources to use here while you're in Boston and how can you access those resources abroad. And that's part of what we want to support you with as GEO advisors. So how do you connect with us? We're excited for the upcoming year to have more in-person events, but we have virtual events and we'll continue with those. So we have all sorts of events, but definitely if you want to have like individual questions, we encourage you to talk to a GEO advisor. We will have peer advisors back in the office for fall 2022. Very excited about that. Kati is a peer advisor and she's been a peer advisor with us for the past, I think 3 years, maybe. I like lose track of time this past year, but she's an excellent support. And it's just really a great way to, talk to a student, hear about their experience and have them connect you even with other students. And then we have all sorts of events throughout the semester. They're up on our website and we're happy to connect you on them. Real quick, in terms of GEO's efforts in making sure that students feel comfortable going abroad, we do offer a series of events called My Global Identity Series. So these are developed in collaboration with our student centers on campus. So we work, for example, with the LGBTQA Center and this can be for a student that's like, maybe you haven't applied abroad and you want to talk to someone because you're thinking of going abroad, or maybe you've returned from being abroad and you wanted to kind of debrief that. So these are all recorded at this point, and then we'll have live sessions returning. But it's really a way to create a safe space to talk about things that are very specific to your personal identity or identities and figure out like, how will this manifest potentially while I'm abroad and what things might come up. So we've partnered with the DRC, the Social Justice Research Center, the Center for Spirituality and Dialogue. So, we've had students that are practicing a certain faith and they're going to a location where that's not the dominant faith and they're nervous about that, or they're trying to figure out just like, what do I do? Like, how does this work? And these sessions are really key for that. Additionally, on our website, it's one of the bullets on the left, we have a student blog, student voice blog, sorry, that's what it's called. But it's, you can read through, but you can actually search by category. So if you're like Italy, I don't know, being a female in Italy, let's say, and that's how you identify, it'll pull up blogs based on that topic, and you can kind of just read through the student's personal experience and watch their videos. And I think that really helps students kind of feel like I can do this maybe, or like I could talk to this student and they would help me with some of the things that I want to talk through. Okay, I'm going to pause and turn it over to Kati to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much, Nora. My name is Catalina, or I also go by Kati, either one. So I'm a recent graduate, actually. I studied mathematics with a minor in computational data analytics. And like Nora said, I work as a peer advisor for GEO, and I'm working over the summer as well as a peer advisor. So just a little bit like about my background and my experience with the global experience at Northeastern. I always knew that I wanted to make travel a part of my education at Northeastern. I've always traveled a lot, so I knew I wanted to incorporate that. So the first experience I had was on a dialogue after my first year, which I think is a really great way to kind of get started with the global experience at Northeastern, just because you go with a Northeastern faculty and with other Northeastern students. And especially after your first year, it's a great way to meet new people. I know a lot of my friends went after their first year as well. And I also knew that I wanted to pursue a minor in Spanish at the beginning. So it was a great way for me to kind of complete those requirements. I did the Spanish language and culture dialogue in Peru. So we spent 6 weeks in Peru. The first couple we spent in Lima, and we actually got to stay with host families, which was really incredible. And then the last one, we went to Cusco, where we saw like Machu Picchu, Rainbow Mountains. We kind of did more sightseeing. So the first part, which was the longer part, was more like classes. We would take Spanish classes in the morning and then do excursions and see different parts of the city or of Peru. And on the weekends, we would travel as well. So it was really getting to see all of those different cultural sites as well. And that was really just a great way to get started and kind of like dip your toe in the water with the Northeastern global experience. And then after that, I knew I wanted to go abroad again. And I definitely wanted to go back to Latin America. So I decided I wanted to do my second co-op abroad. We do have global co-ops set up through NU Careers and everything, but there wasn't really a job that I found called to me. So I actually self-developed my own co-op in Paraguay. And I did this just kind of by reaching out to a bunch of different companies I found online and letting them know about Northeastern and the co-op program, and just letting them know that I was available and if they were looking for any interns or anything. So I actually ended up finding the perfect co-op in Paraguay, and I worked for an NGO think tank there, and I worked as a data analyst for them, which was really like kind of the next level in my global experience, just because I went to a country that really I not only knew no one there, but I really knew little about it. The country in general. I know like when I would tell people I was going to Paraguay, they'd be like, oh, Uruguay. And I was like, no, Paraguay. I think it's very little known. So it was a really incredible experience just to be able to go and discover it on my own. So it's much more of individual growth, I would say. And then I started working as a peer advisor for GEO, just because I know that I've gotten so much out of my experience here. And I really wanted to give back and help other students who might be nervous or questioning or just trying to figure out how to go about it, which has been a great way to connect with other students as well and talk to other students. And it always feels great when like a student comes in and they have a bunch of questions and I can answer them, and then after I can see that they might be like much more confident about going out. So that has also been very great. And next I'll be moving to California to go to USC for my master's.
Sweet. So thanks for sharing, Kati. I'm Jeremiah. I'm a fifth year student here at Northeastern University. I'm studying political science and international affairs with a minor in ethics. And I'm actually a transfer student here at Northeastern. I joined after my second year, and I transferred to Northeastern primarily because I knew that I wanted to study abroad, and I knew that Northeastern had a ton of opportunities through their international study abroad office. So after my first semester on campus, I actually studied abroad, like Nora said, in London at our partner institution, the New College of the Humanities. And that was really an incredible experience to have abroad, especially your first experience abroad. Katya mentioned how she went on a dialogue of civilization, and there was Northeastern programming, there were faculty, and with semester in programs and dialogue of civilization classes, there's lots of Northeastern programming and staff that's there to help you throughout that process. So for a first study abroad experience, I definitely recommend one of those. And that was a really, really great experience, and it helped me kind of figure out what I wanted out of my degree. And I added an ethics minor after it. So really, really awesome experience. And after I was in London, I studied abroad on a dialogue of civilization to Rome, Italy. And that was the Discovering the Eternal City, an incredible dialogue. I'm super biased, but it's definitely my favorite dialogue. So you guys should totally look into it. Incredible faculty, Daniel Faber, who teaches that. And that was really incredible. And the nice thing is that there is a wide variety of different types of courses you can take during a dialogue. Each dialogue has different ones available depending on your major. And so the Eternal City had sociology classes, which counted for my international affairs degree. So that was super helpful. And I got to conduct regional analysis there. So that's a great opportunity if you're in CSSH, especially if you're international affairs. After that, I left from being abroad and then went back abroad after my co-op and studied in Paris. This was a traditional study abroad, so it was very different from the Dialogue of Civilization and from the Data Ethics and Culture program in London, just because when you're doing a traditional study abroad, it's really your responsibility to make sure that you're signing up for classes, go and find resources and help, reach out to peer advisors like Katsi, and reach out to faculty and staff at GEO to help you make sure that you're signing up for classes that count for your degree. But I studied abroad in Paris, and that was really, really incredible. It got cut short early because of the pandemic, so that was a wild experience. But I must say, GEO did really help me get home safely, so I do appreciate that. But I studied abroad in Paris after meeting a couple of attorneys at my co-op who referred me to a couple of different schools in Paris, and some of them had studied at Sciences Po for their master's degree before getting their JD. So they all recommended. And when I went there, I actually got to meet with a couple of faculty members that they recommended. So those were all people that I met through Northeastern and got to see realized when actually studying abroad. So, and actually most recently, I just started a remote dialogue of civilization yesterday with Japan, 20th century. So I'm hooked on GEO, I guess. Can't get enough. And like Nora mentioned earlier, I'm a co-op student here in the GEO office, working as a human resources associate. So I'm helping facilitate the hiring of staff for some of our international programs. So that's my little bit. So I'll turn it back to Nora.
All right, so it says thank you. So first, thank you for listening to that whole spiel, especially mine, which I know is, I tried to power through there. And so I'm actually going to stop screen sharing and just have a conversation with Kati and Jeremiah so that you can hear a little more of like how they came to find their particular programs and like their path at Northeastern. Real quick, all of our information is northeastern.edu/geo, and then here is our general email, and our social handle for everything is @NortheasternGEO. All right, so to get started, I guess Kati and Jeremiah, could you share who do you suggest speaking to first if you're considering going abroad, and if you can share a little more about like what specific steps you took to make your study abroad experience happen? Like, who did you talk to? Your family, your friends, your academic advisor, etc.
Sure. Yeah, I can start, and then Kati, feel free to add. But there's a couple of different people that I'd recommend talking to, really beginning with your personal network of people and kind of deciding why you personally do want to study abroad. How does it fit in with your academic and professional interests? The first people I talked to were my parents, my mom, and trying to figure out if I do study abroad, where would I want to study abroad? For my major degree, I focused and spent a lot of time studying Eastern European politics and power structures, and was thinking maybe I should continue studying Europe, or I did some English secondary language teaching in Europe as well. I was thinking maybe I should diversify my studies. Maybe I should study somewhere else. And, the first people I talked to were my parents and my mom. And my mom said, you've been studying French since middle school, and you've always talked about wanting to go to France. Maybe you should go to France. So that really helped me out. And she reminded me, yeah, no, you're right. I do want to study in France. So, I would definitely recommend going to your personal network first and kind of checking with your friends just to remind yourself, what are your personal interests and your professional and academic interests. And after doing that, I would definitely recommend talking to your academic advisor. That's really just to make sure that you're taking all the classes that are going to count towards your degree, ones that fit into your degree audit, and making sure that the classes at the partner institution you're studying abroad at will count for your major or NU path requirements. And after doing that, or before doing that, either way, definitely talk to the GEO Peer Advisors, people like Kati and other people available to you in the GEO office. But Kati might have better insight on who exactly you should talk to there, so I'll toss it over to her.
Yeah, definitely. I think now is a really good plug for the GEO Peer Advisors. I am biased, but they are honestly like a great help, especially if you just are just considering going abroad. That's really a great first step, just because then you can, normally during normal times when the offices are open, you can just walk in at any point and there's always a peer advisor there that you can talk to, and just hearing from them. Even if you do have an idea of where you want to go, then they can kind of walk you through the process of figuring out, say if you want to do a dialogue, they're walking you through the different programs. And then say if you want to do a study abroad, a lot of times it's really hard to figure out on your own, the courses to take or the course equivalencies, and we can kind of walk you through that and show you. But like Jeremiah said, the academic advisors are also a really big one, because you definitely need to figure out that the courses you're taking abroad, that they'll be okay in your academic plan. And then after that, after the peer advisors, once you kind of have more of an idea of where you want to go specifically, the GEO advisors are a really great tool, and they each have a specific region that they're really experts in. So you'll have a specific GEO advisor to talk to. And then also, just like Jeremiah said, just talking to your network. I know for me, I talked to different people who had gone abroad to Latin America, just because I knew that's where I wanted to go, but I wanted to check on their experience, just to see what it was like, and that really convinced me that that's where I wanted to go. So yeah.
And if I could just add one more quick thing, you can also definitely tap into your professional network of people. If you have contacts that you're still in touch with from a previous co-op, it doesn't hurt to reach out to them and say, hey, I'm studying abroad and considering these locations. Because after my first co-op, I, talked with a couple of different people in my office to see where a lot of them had gotten degrees from international locations, or had studied abroad at some point, or worked abroad even, and they also provided contacts for me to reach out to. So definitely take advantage of the professional network that you already have available to you now, and it could really help inform your time abroad too.
Thank you. I guess, can you, either of you or both of you, please speak to a little bit about how you made it work budget-wise, in terms of if you can speak to us, if you have, I know Kati, you've talked to students about scholarships, if you can share a little more on what you talked to students about, and then maybe how you funded your time during your co-op abroad or just during your study abroad experience.
Yeah, definitely. So first off, in terms of budgeting, it has to be a personal thing. You kind of have to decide and look at how much you want to spend. So if you're taking courses, it's going to be Northeastern tuition. So that's kind of nice, because you don't have to factor in other tuitions from different schools. But in terms of the dialogues specifically, there's also that dialogue fee that comes with it. So I know for my dialogue, some fees are less and some are more depending on the program, but usually then if the fee's a little higher, it might include more like meals or things, or if it's an excursions, or if it's lower, then you're kind of on your own for meals. It really depends on the specific program. But I know for mine, ours included, say, like dinner and breakfast at our host families. So I know like a lot of students would still go out for dinner, but I kind of made it a point of mine to, at least during the week, to always have dinner at my host family, which I think just setting rules for yourself like that while abroad, knowing if you want to save X amount of money or spend X amount of money, and just setting specific rules like that is really good. And then on the weekends, I would kind of allow myself to go out more. So that's just like a specific example for budgeting type. And then in terms of co-ops abroad, they do get less paid than traditional like domestic co-ops, but it also really depends on the co-op. So a lot of the ones that we have set up, you can see if they're paid or not, and depending on how much you can take or save, that's really up to you if you're willing to take an unpaid co-op. But GEO, like Nora mentioned before, we do also have the Presidential Global Scholars Program, which is a huge help, and you can get up to $6,000 for global co-op, and that really helps offset things like travel and meals and housing. I know for mine specifically, I was able to get at least some salary and my travel and housing paid for, which was really nice and gave me a little bit of balance. But again, some of them are not. So I would definitely, if you're looking into co-op, global co-op, no matter what, I would definitely look at that Global Scholars Program. And then I know Nora mentioned this before, but for any program, we have the First Time Travelers Grant, which is obviously for first-time travelers, but there's also first-time traveler grant for anyone, for students going to the NU network locations and haven't participated in a global experience yet. So that's not just like if you haven't gone abroad in your whole life before. So there's two different ones for that. And then another really cool thing, which I haven't personally done, but I've been on dialogues with people who have done it, is the fellowships, which Nora touched on a little, where you can kind of do like a video blog or essays, or like write a blog each day, and then kind of get some reimbursement for that, which honestly is just a cool thing to have. I know I like to journal while I'm traveling anyway, just to remember things. So it's a great way for you to document anyway. And then while you're doing that, also make money for it to help offset the cost of travel and everything.
Yeah, thank you. I think I'm going to jump to like a different topic because Kati's was comprehensive, Jeremiah, if you don't mind. But thank you so much. Okay, I guess what I was thinking would be helpful for the students listening to Pathfinder is if you could speak to like the different experience you've been on. Like how did they connect with your professional or academic goals in terms of, did you build a network? Did you connect with faculty or other students? Like what type of connections did you make, and how did it advance your time here at Northeastern, in your opinion?
Sure, I can speak to that a little bit. The first thing that comes to mind is when I was studying abroad in England and in France, there are Northeastern University alumni networks there available. And it's not in every city in the world, but major cities, there's definitely a high chance and high probability that there will be an alumni network there. And Northeastern has a ton of different events that go on to connect you with different alumni in the area. So when I was in London, it was in a really nice building somewhere, and they gave a presentation, and all the Northeastern alumni that were a part of the group, I think there's about 80 different Northeastern alumni ranging back to 20 years, were all there and made themselves available to co-op students that were in London, study abroad students, or any sort of current student that was in London for whatever reason could go and meet there. So that was extremely helpful. You could go and see, how did you make it from Boston and Northeastern, and now you're working in London, how did you do that? And if that's something you're interested in, it's definitely a great opportunity there. Other ways that you can build your network, Kati and I kind of mentioned how the Dialogue of Civilization is an excellent opportunity to make good relationships with other Northeastern students, but also Northeastern faculty as well. They're faculty-led trips, and you're with that same faculty member for, a month up to 2 months even. And that really is a great way to foster a good relationship with them. The Daniel Faber on my Dialogue of Civilization is an excellent faculty member, and he actually wrote letters of recommendation for me. So that's super helpful. And so those are the types of connections you can make on the different study abroad opportunities that way as well. Kati, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, just in terms of like networking while abroad, even with other students on dialogues. Like we said, it's with other Northeastern students, but the really cool thing about dialogues, it's usually like a big mix of different majors and everything, because a lot of, like me personally, I use the dialogue for my minor, but also for NU path requirements. So it's kind of a way to get out of like your Northeastern bubble, which you can kind of like get more stuck in with like people in your major or like your friends. So it's a really great way to meet new people. So I had people from all different types of majors, and like say, I had some electives left, and I knew I wanted to take a design class, but being a math major, I knew nothing about the CAMD or design department. But I knew a girl on my dialogue who I kept in touch with was a design major, so I could kind of ask her like her opinions on different electives and different professors to take. So that's just like an example of how these connections can really help you in your education. And then, like Jeremiah said, he got a recommendation from his faculty on the dialogue, and I also got a recommendation. It's really a great way to make like that connection that you might not make in regular classes with a professor. And then in terms of global co-op, that's a great way to make professional connections from all over. I know when I was applying to graduate schools, I had my boss from Paraguay write me a letter, and that I think that really just gives a different spin and like diversifies your application for a lot of things, having like that international aspect to it. So I would say that's a really great way to network as well.
And then can you speak to a little bit, do you feel like after you went abroad on any of the many programs you all went abroad on, you felt like it helped you in speaking in interviews when you're looking for a co-op? Kati, you just touched upon it, so maybe Jeremiah, I know with NCH you met with like Northeastern faculty and local London faculty. Did you feel like that helped you at like when you returned to campus and trying to figure out with your co-ops?
Yeah, absolutely. London maybe isn't that different from the US when compared to other countries, but I mean, especially, studying abroad with faculty in Paris, they have CVs, they don't have resumes, the interview process is entirely different. And, I didn't go for any interviews, but I met with faculty members and they had different workshops that were available there. And that's the nice thing, depending on the institution you're studying abroad at, you're usually able to take advantage of the clubs and organizations and resources available there. And so when I was abroad in Paris, I definitely felt like it helped me, even just being able to network internationally. It definitely feels a little different from just trying to connect with other people, from your university or from your city or from your state. When you go abroad, it can feel a little different. And when I was in London, I definitely met, it was a mixture of Northeastern faculty and NCH faculty. And so taking advantage of that connection between the two is extraordinarily helpful. So.
Yeah, thank you both. I think to wrap it up, I just wanted to ask, and this is kind of a cliche question that I think comes with study abroad, but for all intensive purposes, I do love the cliche, but if you could share a little bit on, because I know both of you have shared this with me, is like, once you returned from studying abroad, do you feel that it changed you in terms of like how you approached your studies, or just you personally, and how, like what next steps you're going to take in either like your academic career or your professional career?
Yeah, definitely. I can start. It is like the cliche, like study abroad changed me, going abroad and everything, but it really is true. Like just, I would say, especially with things like the traditional study abroad or the global co-op, really going on your own and being in a new place, and kind of figuring everything out for yourself in a new foreign place where you don't have that initial network setup is really just an incredible experience. And even like talking about interviews before, it really gives you more confidence in like everything you do. So going into interviews, going into anything where it's like a new setting, like a new job or anything, it really helps you, because like if you can go to a totally different country, maybe you don't even speak the language, then like really like what's an interview. So that definitely helped me. And then in terms of figuring out like future career goals, that's part of the reason I decided I wanted to go to graduate school, just because of working in Paraguay and seeing what I could do there with like the limited education that I had in like, I know like some Python, and seeing like what a difference that made. I knew that I wanted to further those skills to be able to return in my future career. So it really kind of gave me an outlook onto my future career goals, and like I want to be able to return with even more experience and even more skills, which I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do after. So really like that was life changing to be able to figure that out. I don't know if you have your own experience, Jeremiah.
Yeah, I would definitely say Kathy hit it on the head, where after you study abroad, it really feels like you can conquer a lot more. And I had never taken a data science class before, but that first program I took was data ethics and culture. And I had to take data science 2000 and data science 2001, which was terrifying. But after the end of the semester, I finished it with an A, which I never thought was possible. And now I felt like I could conquer anything. But I did not add a data science minor, I must admit, but I was happy to see I could do it. But it definitely, like she mentioned, you go and live abroad, if it's a lot of people's first time abroad, or even just, traveling without your family, traveling without friends, going to a new country, it really does encourage you to get out of your comfort zone and take advantage of the networking opportunities available to you. That might sound a little bit cliche, but going abroad to a new country, and the only point is the Northeastern Alumni Network. Go to the Northeastern Alumni Network and meet them, and you'll meet people through that, and you'll really develop important, crucial networking skills that will serve you in any environment, professional, academic, personal even. It really helps you just be able to carry yourself well. And definitely one thing that I would say that studying abroad has really changed is that now I have really strong connections in lots of different places in the world, looking to graduating and what city am I going to end up in, where's the job. I have really decent connections and strong connections in where I studied abroad and where I co-opt, and so it's somewhat comforting to know that there's probably 2 to 3 people that I know in a lot of the places I'm considering working afterwards. And so that's something super helpful. Even if you want to just travel abroad, you'll find couches to crash on. If you study abroad, you'll meet people. And honestly, that environment when you're abroad and meeting other students who are abroad, it is a very bonding experience. And you do make a lot of really strong connections out of there. And I'm in touch with people from every single international study abroad experience I had through GEO, and GEO has a couple of different events where alumni from a program will meet, and you all get to reconvene a month after returning to campus. And so that really helps solidify the friendships that you made abroad and professional networking relationships you've made abroad, all the things. But yes, I would say that's one of the best ways that it changed me moving forward.
Yeah, I guess last plug before I start talking for GEO is we do have pre-departure events. So events that connect students. We hold a very informational session that prepares you for the cultural change you'll experience, as well as health and safety. But then we have a social, so that maybe it's like a pre-network experience. Like you all find out like, oh, you're going on a co-op and you're in Germany, I'll be in, let's say, Austria. Like we're the only people in that region, so let's connect. And we hope students do connect. And then we do it on the reverse. We hold re-entry events, and the idea is that when you come back, a lot of times you just want to like debrief your experience and reflect on it. And then it's really cool to do a comparison too. So, it might be something like Kati just got back from Paraguay and Jeremiah just got back from the New College of Humanities in London. So 2 super different experiences, but then you're all in the same room and you all have activities where you have to debrief. And oftentimes we have a keynote speaker at that, which is just another way to kind of like take that experience to another level. So I hope this was helpful. I'm really grateful that Jeremiah and Kati shared. And like I said, you can contact us at any point. We'd love to hear from any student interested in a global opportunity.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, all of you. It's so great to work with GEO, and I really hope that in the coming months and years that we're able to see more of those programs, and that our Pathfinder students are able to take advantage of those as they pursue their Northeastern career. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Pathfinder meets every week for roundtable discussions. We also meet weekly for workshops just like this one. So check out our Google Calendar and join in next time. Thank you so much and have a great day.